Hi, this is Brett Ingram, award-winning entrepreneur, and today I want to share with you 6 steps to maximize productivity when you're working from home. You know, working from home is really common now. When first opportunity I ever had to work from home was actually back in the late 1990s. And I was working for a company in New York City that happened to be a tech company. And one of the really cool things about that company was that they offered an opportunity to be able to work from home 1 to 2 days a week. So we still went into the office, but they hooked us up at our houses with high-speed internet and everything else. And so we were able to, long before this stuff was popular or available to the public, we were able to get these kind of connections and work from home 1 or 2 days a week. And at the time, I was literally the only person I knew that ever did it. Well, we fast forward to today's day and age, and now there are people working from home all over the place. Not only has technology improved so much that it makes it possible, there's a lot more business owners and digital entrepreneurs and whatever that are able to do that from home. And because of the COVID epidemic, when that broke, basically people weren't able to go into the office and congregate. And so we had sort of a growth and an explosion of working from home. And so it became a really common thing. And so the thing about it is, with working from home is, in a lot of ways it makes sense, right? There's no commute. So it saves you time every single day. That's good for an employer because it means that you can work more. It's good if you're a business owner because you don't have to go anywhere. You can get more done in a given day. You don't need any office space. So we don't need to buy office space for our businesses if we have people working remotely, and we are. It's lower cost, right? And so for both businesses, if we own a business and we don't need a storefront for it, it makes a lot of sense, if possible, to do that from home or to do it from a place where we just don't need to pay extra for it and drive to it and commute and all that other stuff. If we have a large enough team that we need them all together, then maybe we need some office space. But in general, working from home is pretty common. And from the perspective of a job, a lot of jobs have allowed people to do it as well, because for those employers, it saves them money on the office space and on all the other things. And it makes, in theory, employees the ability to do more and get more done because they don't have the time, energy, and expense of trying to get into the office. So that's all great, and it all sounds really good on paper. But for anyone who's done it, and at this point, a lot of us have at least experienced it to some extent, I can tell you, friends I have that work jobs or whatever, there's a very mixed reaction when things were about time to go back to work. Some people were so excited. They couldn't wait to get back to the office. They wanted to start interacting with people again, and they just hated working from home. Other people were really disappointed and wanted to keep working from home forever. So some of it depends on our personality. Some of it depends on some other factors. But the fact of the matter still remains, right? Some of us are going to do it whether we want to or not. Some of us are going to be forced to do it. And so the question becomes, how do we stay productive? Because it's challenging when we start having the dynamic of mixing work and personal life. It's not quite as easy that a lot of people have experienced. I've talked to people who had never done it before, and initially they were excited about it. When they actually started to work from home and they had kids running around and all the distractions and pets, and you see the pile of laundry that needs to be done and the dishes in the sink, they started to realize, it's not quite as easy. The phone is ringing with telemarketers, you got people knocking on the door, you have all of the things around you, and then oftentimes, we don't have a specific office space set up in our office. And so we're in a situation where we're sort of working where we live, and it makes a really difficult dynamic. It's a lot more challenging than most people initially realize until they actually try to do it. And so if we're not experienced, it can be a very difficult dynamic to navigate, and it can be very difficult to stay productive and focused. So we can fall into the trap of feeling very busy, right? We've had those days where, we're at home and we're going all day long and we feel like we were really busy. But then if we actually evaluate what we accomplished professionally, we didn't really get much done, because it's very easy to stay busy and distracted but not be productive. And that is a dangerous trap, because especially if we're entrepreneurs and business owners, that will kill our business if we do that long term. And so it can be very hard to focus at home, because there are blurred lines between life's responsibilities and, work responsibilities. And so the other element of it is that work becomes more casual, right? We don't have to dress up. We don't have to go into the office. We don't have to be seen by people. So we basically can sort of have a casual attitude, and that is also better and worse. There are elements of that where we can be more comfortable, and that's great. But there are elements of that where that can also lead to a lax attitude and fall us into the trap where we don't really get anything done. We don't have any intensity or urgency with the stuff that we've been doing. Well, I can tell you that I've been doing this for 15 plus years on my own. So I had the job that I did this for, 1 or 2 days a week. But after that, when I started my own business and I started, doing some software development and digital marketing and things like that, for the last 15 years, I've been doing it on my own. And I've specifically and decidedly did not get an office for that exact reason. I wanted to have a remote team. I wanted us all to be able to work together, and I wanted to be able to do it effectively where I could do it from home. That was really important to me, because I had kids and I had a lot of other things I wanted to be able to get done, and I didn't want to waste, time commuting into the office. I didn't want to waste the aggravation, the overhead, and just the extra things and steps that are necessary to have an office, right? So all the extra mental overhead in addition to the financial overhead. So I can share with you that I struggled at times, in the beginning especially. I had a really difficult time with small kids in the house trying to figure out how I could structure things in a way that made sense. I fell into the same trap. I was here and I felt as though, well, I'm here, so what difference does it make, right? I'm going to be able to get work done, and I could work all hours. So there's no urgency, right? I don't have to work during the 9 to 5 because I can work at night. I can work in the middle of the night. I can work whenever I need to. But the fact of the matter is that isn't usually a great way to approach things. Not that we can't work in those hours, but to just constantly push things off like, oh, I'll just do it later. I'll do it later. Like we have unlimited time, because ultimately we don't, and then things don't get done. So over the struggles and through the struggles and over the years, I figured some things out. And there are basically 6 steps that I followed to become super productive working from home. In fact, more productive than I ever was in an office. And I'm going to share those 6 steps with you, because I've been able to turn it into a dream scenario where I actually shudder at the idea of even having an office. I'd rather not have one. I don't want one. And the fact of the matter is, I'm going to share those with you too, because I think if you incorporate these things and we do this, then we all can sort of live the benefits of working from home without sort of the negative side effects. And so there's 6 steps are these, and they're not really in order, but I sort of put them in a logical sequence. But the most important thing is that if we take care of these 6 things, these 6 elements, then we're likely to be a lot more productive and be able to strike that balance and do it effectively. So the first one is to create a separate space in your home, apartment, whatever. And it needs to be separate from all the other work environment. Now you might say, well, that's great, Brett, but I live in a 1-bedroom apartment or whatever. I have kids. There's no way, I'm not going to be able to carve out my own office. That's totally fine. Neither did I. When I was started out, what I did was, and my wife and I used to joke that I worked in the cloffice, because I basically was working in a closet. We had a closet in our master bedroom, and I basically had a separate little sort of closet in there, and I set up a little workstation in there. And so it wasn't completely independent space. It wasn't like my own office where I go in and shut the door and all that stuff like I have now. What it was literally just these like louver doors, and they could conceal it when I needed to conceal it, but they could also open it up, and I could slide the chair in and out. And I had a little desk that I got for like $50 at IKEA or something, and I just got a little monitor and a computer. And that was basically but it was a separate space that I wasn't wandering around the house with a laptop on my lap, sitting on the couch, at the kitchen table, in the dining room, where life and everything else is all around me. I had a separate space. It's super important to create that separate space, because mentally what that does is it allows us to make a shift when we go into our space that lets us get into work mode. And that's super important, to be able to change back and forth between work mode and life mode. And by creating a separate space that's ours, as small as it is. Mine was literally a desk. I didn't have shelves, I didn't have file cabinets, I didn't have anything else. I had a desk that I was able to, I organized it well. So I had a little monitor on there and a little laptop, and it all fit, and it was small, and I had one little tiny chair, and that's it. But that was enough. It was separate. It wasn't part of the kids' toys or anywhere else in the house. And that's a super important distinction to start with, is have a separate space, regardless of how big or small or fancy it is, but separate from what you're doing in your daily life. The second step is to eliminate distractions in your workspace. Okay, so there are going to be distractions in the house. There's no two ways about that. But what we don't want is an office space where the TV is in the background, that we can see it over there, and the kids are watching TV, so I'm trying to work, and yes, I'm at my own space, but the TV's there, the radio's on over here, the kids are playing video games, the pets are running around. We have to be able to eliminate the distractions as much as we can. So for me, when I was starting out in that same situation, I could shut our bedroom door, right? Whether my wife was in the bedroom or not, it didn't really matter. She knew I was working, so it is what it is. But the fact is, I could shut the door. And then if I'm in my office with the door shut, if the pets are running around out there, and my kids are out there, obviously, if my wife is home, then I would be able to just do my work. So we need to be able to eliminate distractions. And included in those distractions is actual clutter. So it's physical and audible distractions like TV and radio and stuff like that, visual and audible ones, but it's also things like clutter. When we sit down and we have our one little office desk, and there's a pile of papers here and pens strewn all over there, and we can't really put the laptop down and it's sort of falling over, that's going to be very difficult to stay focused and work, because it's distracting just in and of itself. So despite the fact that my space was really small, I kept it very clean. And while I had a TV in the office at the top, I always had it off if I was ever in there working. And that was really the key, right? So we need to eliminate the distractions in the little workspace to the best of our ability to do that. You might have background noise running around. In the summer, I had no choice. I had everybody home with me. I was going to have some distractions in the background, but at the same time, I was also able to separate myself enough and shut the door. The other alternative, of course, if you're totally underwater with that, is to go to a public library in town where you actually have your own space. But the fact is, we have to eliminate distractions in the workspace. The third step is to optimize our ergonomics. This is a really underrated thing, and I didn't realize it. So what I mean by this is have a chair, a screen, and lighting that's all good, right? We don't need to spend a lot of money. This doesn't need to be something that's expensive. I had, again, probably a $30 chair that I got from IKEA when I started out, but I made sure that it was comfortable. So if I sat there for long periods of time, I wasn't constantly feeling like I need to get up. I wasn't constantly, feeling like, my back hurts or my butt hurts or whatever. It was comfortable enough. Obviously, like if you can afford it and you get to that point, you can get really nice stuff, Herman Miller and all this other stuff. But in the beginning, it doesn't even really matter. It just needs to be a chair that gives you the right posture with a back support so you can focus. A screen, you can get like bigger screen monitors. If you're working off a laptop with a 13-inch screen, you start squinting, and when you get to my age anyway, you're looking down, it's like hard to see and what ends up happening is you get a stiff neck because you're constantly looking down at the laptop. So it's important to get a table that's at the right height, or get a little laptop stand. I got one for like 20 bucks on Amazon where it sits on top of that and you can see that. And then the keyboard goes down here. You want your ergonomics to be such that it's comfortable to sit for long periods of time and be able to focus without being distracted by the way that you feel or how uncomfortable you are. Lighting is really important in this regard. So if you need to get a ring light, again, I got a ring light for, I think, 30 bucks from Amazon or whatever. If you need to get LED lights or whatever else for your closet or wherever you're going to put them in your workspace, it's important that the lighting is good. And one thing that I recommend as an investment is actually a larger screen to work with for your computer, for your monitor. You can attach most laptops to it and you get a much bigger work area. There's a number of benefits to that. They've done study after study and productivity is super, super high, far higher when we're working on a bigger screen with more visual real estate than it is if we're crunched in a little tiny laptop. There are times where you can't take your screen with you. You're going to have your tiny laptop and that's fine. But when you're at home, nowadays monitors have dropped so much, you can get a monitor for like 200 bucks on Amazon or whatever, and it's like 28 inches or whatever, and that's what I started with. The first one that I ever bought I think was like 22 inches, and then I got a 28-inch one after that. And so by doing that, you have a much larger workspace, and it makes your laptop work just like a real workstation or like a desktop computer, which is great. Because if we have a nice large visual workspace, again, it's very small footprint. It'll fit right on the back of a desk in a closet. That's what I did. And that will allow us to have a comfortable work environment where it's easy on our eyes, it's easy on our back, it's easy on our neck. And that is going to allow us to be more productive for longer at work when we're doing it from home. The fourth step is to work in focused time blocks. This is super important when we're working from home. Distractions are a way of life. There's no two ways around it, right? We're going to have interruptions. I had to pick up my kids from school, bring them to daycare, go to this, bring them to soccer, run out and get the groceries during the day, mail the stuff while the post office is still open. All these things I had to do during the day. So what I did was I worked in focused blocks. So what we do is we say, all right, listen, I know right now that this is the thing that I need to get done. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to work until I get this done. Then if there's other stuff I need to take care of, so be it. But this is a work block for the next 90 minutes. So I'm going to put my head down, I'm going to get this done, and I'm going to tune out the rest of the world, right? I'm going to work 90 minutes now. And then if I have to work, and take a break or something, that's fine. But when I come back, I'm going to work in another focused time block. Step 4 is connected to this, and that is schedule in the interruptions, okay? So if I know I have to pick up my kids at school at 2 o'clock, I already know I can't work 9 to 5, right? That's just a given. If I know that I need to, go to a dentist appointment at 11 o'clock in the morning, I already know I can't work 11 to 5. But what I do know is that I have a block of 90 minutes here. Then maybe there's an interruption. Then a block of 90 minutes there, then an interruption. That's fine. Each of those 90-minute blocks, though, I need to then use super productively. So we work in focused time blocks of 60 to 90 minutes a pop, and we schedule in the interruptions. So they aren't interruptions as much anymore, but parts of our schedule. This way we can extend out our work day. So maybe our actual work day starts at 8 o'clock in the morning and it goes to 8 o'clock at night. But there's 4 or 5 hours in the middle there where we're not actually working. That's totally fine. We can move things in and out. I used to do that all the time because part of the reason I wanted to be at home was to be able to do the school commutes, do field trips, and I also wanted to be able to take my kids to their sports practices. And when they were young, I used to stay and watch them practice and stuff like that. I always enjoyed that. And so if we work in schedule our interruptions and work in focused time blocks, those things in tandem are super effective for still being able to get everything done, yet at the same time being able to handle all the things we need to in our personal life. The next step is to get yourself ready. What I mean by this is shower, groom, get dressed. It's very easy when we're working from home to roll out of bed in our pajamas, our hair's all over our head. Well, for some of us who have hair. I don't have that issue, obviously. But at the same time, getting dressed, even if we're wearing something comfortable, as you can see, I don't dress up. I don't wear a suit. I don't wear polos or anything fancy. I like a very comfortable thing, jeans and a t-shirt just about every single day. At the same time, I'm showered, I'm groomed, I'm ready to go, because there's a psychological difference when we get ourselves ready. When we roll out of bed and we're sort of like, morning breath, we haven't brushed our teeth, we're not really like sort of, groomed, or we just don't operate at our peak in that way. We don't feel our best, so we don't perform our best. So get yourself ready, even if it's a 15-minute routine, just so you feel ready for the day. And then the last step, and this is super important, is be your own boss. And what I mean by that is we all want to be our own boss, but be it. If you were your own employee, would you be satisfied with the way that you work, with the productivity that you create, with your work ethic, with your habits, with your, with your commitment, all these other things? We need to be hard on ourselves and realistic with ourselves in that one regard. If we had somebody working for us and we were paying them money and they were rolling out of bed late, coming in work late, getting distracted, watching TV, tuning in to see what's going on their social media channels, and then doing a little bit of work and then getting back to, oh, I got to go watch this soap opera that I really like, we would fire them. So the fact of the matter is we need to have that same standard with ourselves. If we're going to be our own boss, we need to be our own boss and have high expectations for ourselves so we can produce at our best performance, at our best level. When we do those steps, we create an effective separation between work and life in our own home, so we can get all of our work done while still enjoying the benefits of working from home, because it can be awesome if we do it right. So the takeaway is that working from home is more and more common today. With technology advancing so fast, we can do things and we can connect in ways never possible until now. While the idea of working from home sounds great and has a bunch of perks, no commute, no dress code, no office space, no office politics, it's more comfortable, we have more flexibility, it's also a challenge to stay focused and be productive because our personal lives are all around us. By following these steps, we can have the best of both worlds, enjoy the benefits of working from home while still being rock stars in our jobs or businesses.